I'm a storyteller. I tell great stories. You know, I can look at you and tell you the lamest story you ever heard. You don't have to be a great singer. You have to be a real singer. Now, I'm one of them.
Jerry Reed's name might instantly bring to mind energetic guitar riffs and unforgettable hits.
The title of this 1971 smash hit explains it all. When you're hot, you're hot. Ladies and gentlemen, Jerry Reed!
But behind the legendary musician's upbeat tunes lies a story marked by hardship and resilience. How does a man who rose from foster care and humble beginnings become a country music icon, only to face a tragic decline? Few know that all the fame and accolades couldn't shield Reed from lifelong battles and an addiction that ultimately led to his untimely death. His journey is a window into the complicated realities behind the scenes of stardom, where dreams and struggles often collide in unexpected ways. Dreams born from difficulty. Jerry Reed's story begins in Atlanta, Georgia, where he was born into a world far from the glamour he would later know. His early years were marked by instability. His parents, Robert and Cynthia Hubbard, separated when he was just a few months old. Money was scarce, with both parents working in a cotton mill, barely able to support two young children. This financially strained and broken home led to Jerry and his sister spending much of their childhood moving in and out of foster homes and orphanages, even though both parents were alive. The instability of his early life created a difficult foundation, but also, unintentionally, a reservoir of emotion and experience that Jerry would later channel into his music. Visits to his grandparents in Rockmart, Georgia, offered rare moments of solace. It was there he first dreamed aloud of becoming a star, running through the house with a guitar and imagining a future far beyond his present hardships. Music became his sanctuary, a place where he could escape both the harsh realities at home and the uncertainty of his young life. His mother, Cynthia, played a pivotal role in nurturing Jerry's musical dreams despite the family's struggles. She worked tirelessly at the cotton mill and even remarried in 1944, but never lost sight of supporting her son's talent. Knowing how much music meant to him, she saved every spare penny she could, eventually buying Jerry his first guitar. Not new, but enough to get him started. Cynthia also taught him his very first chords, igniting a passion that would shape the rest of his life. Without the luxury of proper instruments or lessons, Jerry made do with what he had. At 6 years old, he would mimic radio performances using a hairbrush as a microphone and the woodpile beside the stove as a stage. These early performances weren't just childlike play. They were the beginnings of a deep connection to the art of entertaining. The tiny moments of joy and performance during such difficult times laid the groundwork for a future where Jerry would command much larger stages. Though his childhood was far from carefree, Jerry's resolve was unwavering. He once reflected on those years, describing how he was obsessed with rocking the stage and knew from an early age that music was his true path. Conventional education held little appeal as it took time away from his passion, leading him to leave school during his junior year and start working to support himself. This decision was less a rejection of learning and more a commitment to the music he loved. Jerry's vision was not dimmed by the patchwork of houses and struggles, but rather it was sharpened. The hard times he had to go through in his early life turned him into a person with three qualities: resilient, driven, and very talented. Music was not only a dream but also a necessity for him to change the narrative of his life. However, he was a long way from the full scope of his challenges, the emotional toll, the perseverance he had to exercise to rise from those beginnings. His career would just unfold, and then it would be seen. The early life of Jerry was the main point of the contrast between the place he had come from and the height he was aspiring to reach. The acute suffering of his childhood was the source of his creative and artistic expression, while the little triumphs, like his mother getting him a guitar, were the days when his ambition was already clear. These experiences made him ready to hit the uncertain and extremely competitive music industry with a spirit of tenacity. This brings us to the remarkable way Jerry Reed taught himself to become one of the most innovative guitarists of his time, defying convention and learning on his own terms. Self-taught guitar genius. Jerry Reed's guitar mastery is legendary, but it wasn't forged in the halls of formal music schools or under patient tutelage. The truth is, he was mostly self-taught, with only 2 brief lessons in his entire life before deciding to rely on his own instincts and ear. This self-directed path meant he developed a style that was both unique and deeply personal, becoming a hallmark of his later success. His mother Cynthia's initial guidance, teaching him basic chords like C and G, was enough to spark his obsession. From there, Jerry spent hours listening closely to radio broadcasts of guitar legends, picking apart melodies and rhythms until he could play them himself. His natural affinity for rhythm and melody guided him as he practiced relentlessly, often using a nickel as a pick when the family couldn't afford the real thing. One of the biggest influences on Jerry's evolving style was Merle Travis, a Western Kentucky musician known for his intricate finger-picking and evocative songwriting. Travis's Travis-picking technique and raw lyrical honesty resonated deeply with Jerry, who admired how Travis told stories about hard labor and hardship, familiar themes from his own upbringing. Through absorption rather than formal study, Jerry internalized these influences and began to form his own distinctive voice on the guitar. The moment Jerry heard Travis's song, "I Am a Pilgrim," he recognized a kindred spirit and a blueprint for his own musical journey. He recalled thinking the musician knew where the bodies were buried, acknowledging the authentic grit behind the music. This musical hero inspired Jerry to not just replicate, but innovate, blending technical skill with emotional storytelling. Doubtful of his method, the critics, however, did not give it much weight. And he, who was also a self-taught player, did not give in, thus making his cutting edge even sharper. A demand from his guitar tutor that he give up his thumb pick made Jerry stop taking lessons. He preferred to play the way he felt was right for him. This choice resulted in his characteristic claw technique, which was a peculiar right-hand placement that was not only the signature of Jerry's style, but also became instantly recognizable and very hard to duplicate. Jerry's unconventional method was not only a surprise, but finally won the support of both the audience and the musicians of his time. He was not only a guitar player, but also a creator of a new type of musical interaction with the instrument that was at once precise and dramatic, emotionally powerful and entertaining. His style would be the hallmark of both his recordings and performances. His performance was also not restricted to a single genre. Jerry's versatility and willingness to take chances enabled him to go through country, rockabilly, and pop with the same ease. Thus, he was simultaneously pushing the boundaries and staying loyal to his roots. His guitar communicated to people his personality, flexible, daring, and captivating right from the start. This dependence on oneself in the process of acquiring knowledge not only developed his musical skills, but also influenced his whole attitude to the music industry. Jerry was convinced of the importance of creating his own road, instead of using the paths already established by others. It was this very attitude that finally brought about the opening of the doors, even though the future seemed to be quite uncertain at times. His raw talent and unique style soon caught the attention of a key figure who would help launch Jerry's career by connecting him to the right audiences and professional networks. Breaking into the music industry. In the early 1950s, Jerry Reed was not only honing his guitar skills, but also finding ways to perform in his hometown of Atlanta. From local bars and shady honky-tonks to school auditoriums, he played wherever he could, steadily building a following. Despite not yet being widely known, his growing reputation as a gifted guitarist and performer began to turn heads in the regional music scene. A chance encounter with a local Atlanta policeman named Leroy Sooner marked a turning point. Soon, he was captivated by Jerry's guitar playing and arranged an audition for him with Bud Lowry, a prominent disc jockey and music publisher known for launching country stars. Lowry was impressed not just by Jerry's skill, but also by his originality. Instead of playing a familiar cover, Jerry chose to perform an original song called Aunt's Wooden Leg, a novelty tune as strange as its title suggested. Lowry recognized Jerry's potential, but also understood that the young musician needed mentorship to refine his songwriting and stage presence. He signed him on and helped negotiate Jerry's first significant tour, a 30-day opening act slot for Ernest Tubb and the Texas Troubadours. This opportunity was invaluable, exposing Jerry to larger audiences and a more demanding professional environment. For Jerry, this rapid transition from cotton mill worker to touring musician confirmed that music would be his career. The stability of a day job was no longer viable or appealing once he tasted the life of performing on the road. His days would be filled with shows, late-night gigs, and the relentless grind of the music business. But it was the life he wanted. Lowry's support also opened doors to radio work. Jerry took a part-time job as a disc jockey at WGST, creating a closer connection to the music industry's inner workings. Being behind the microphone gave him insight into what audiences wanted and allowed him to network with other artists and producers. His first recording came at just 18 years old with the release of If the Good Lord's Willing and The Creek Don't Rise. Although Jerry was not yet a household name, the song garnered attention, especially as bigger artists like Johnny Cash began covering it. Such endorsements highlighted Jerry's songwriting talent even before his own fame fully blossomed. Alongside his solo pursuits, Jerry worked as a session guitarist and as part of various bands, including Kenny Lee and the Western Playboys. Playing regularly with a band helped hone his skills and stagecraft, preparing him for the next level. The constant playing also kept him grounded and connected to everyday musicianship. By the mid-1950s, Jerry had proven himself capable of crossing genres, recording rockabilly hits like When I Found You that amazed producers with their originality. His ability to blend country roots with contemporary sounds made him stand out in a crowded marketplace. Yet success wasn't immediate or assured. Jerry's journey through the music industry was as much about perseverance as it was about talent. A critical moment was still ahead, when military service would interrupt his career and test his determination. Military service and its impact. As Jerry Reed's career was beginning to gain momentum, life took an unexpected turn that put many of his musical ambitions on hold. In 1959, at the peak of his burgeoning success, and right after marrying Priscilla Mitchell, Jerry was drafted into the United States Army. This interruption was sudden and unavoidable, forcing him to pause his professional activities and leave behind ongoing projects with Capitol Records. The enlistment presented a significant challenge, both personally and professionally, threatening to derail the promising trajectory he had worked so hard to establish. Despite the looming uncertainty, Jerry approached his military service with the same determination that had guided his music career. Although stationed away from the industry's spotlight, he remained connected to songwriting and composing. During this period, his talent caught the attention of others outside the military, most notably pop singer Brenda Lee, who recognized the potential in a composition he had written called "That's All You Gotta Do." Brenda's recording of the song became a top 10 pop hit, providing Jerry with a valuable foot in the door while he served his country. The release and success of that song had a dual effect. It affirmed Jerry's songwriting prowess and maintained his presence in the music scene even as he remained physically distant. This unique position allowed him to return from service with a renewed sense of purpose and recognition among industry insiders. His experience in the Army, though disruptive, had not extinguished his connection to music, but rather underscored the significance of his creative contributions beyond just performance. When Jerry was discharged, he reunited with his wife, Priscilla, who already had her own success as a country singer. Their partnership became a vital source of support as he transitioned back into a fiercely competitive Nashville music scene. Settling in the city around 1962, the couple began building their careers side by side, with Priscilla's established reputation providing a helpful platform for Jerry's re-entry into professional music. This move marked the beginning of the most publicly successful phase of his life. Jerry was soon back to recording, signed with Columbia Records, and released songs like "Goodnight Irene" and "Hully Gully Guitar." Even though these records got some attention, Jerry did not become an instant star, and the road ahead was still long and required patience and persistence. But still, his unique style and lyrics did not go unnoticed and caught the attention of the powerful producers. One of such critical figures was Chet Atkins, who immediately recognized Jerry's talent and urged him to be himself in the recording process. Atkins's guidance at RCA Records turned Jerry into a great session and touring guitarist. His playing with big-name artists not only helped him gain the reputation of being one of the most important people in the country music scene, but it also gave him a place to stay. His works for others, like the Porter Wagoner hit "Misery Loves Company," proved his versatility and helped him gain more power in the industry. From now on, it was all up to Jerry how deep he wanted to go in the country scene, either just to participate in it or to become a major character. Jerry's time at RCA really gave him the freedom to create more than ever before. Atkins pushed him to ditch the whole idea of formulas and try different things with the sound, which was a rare offer that Jerry took up completely. This whole process of artistic freedom resulted in the development of his trademark claw guitar style, a unique technique that made his performances loud and clear and also distinguished him from the rest of the guitar players. The creation of this style was, on the one hand, a musical victory, and on the other hand, a daring declaration of personality. Around the middle of the 1960s, Jerry was all set for a breakthrough that would bring him the recognition of a very large audience. His compositions and guitar playing had already developed into a signature sound, and the partnerships with well-known stars gave him recognition beyond the local rock scene. It was in this highly creative atmosphere that Jerry would soon come up with the masterpiece, which would be regarded as the start of his long career as an influential figure in country music. This rise in popularity would be accompanied by hits that not only ruled the charts, but also captured the hearts of both fans and fellow musicians alike. His relationship with other icons, most notably Elvis Presley, would add a defining dimension to his rising career. Rise to stardom and signature style. Jerry Reed's rise to stardom was marked by a blend of undeniable talent, originality, and strategic collaborations, the most famous being his association with Elvis Presley. In 1967, Jerry released "Guitar Man," a self-penned hit that immediately gained attention, especially after Presley recorded his own widely celebrated version. This moment was pivotal. Jerry's music was no longer confined to the margins of country or rockabilly. It had become part of the mainstream musical landscape. The success of "Guitar Man" also sparked a collaborative relationship with Presley, who appreciated Jerry's guitar skills and songwriting. Together, they worked on tracks like "Big Boss Man," which created a synergy that propelled both artists further into the spotlight. Jerry's involvement in Presley's recordings cemented his status as a musician's musician, someone respected by legends while captivating the general public. Following this breakthrough, Jerry continued to release songs that showcased his playful lyrical style, storytelling ability, and virtuosic guitar playing. Tupelo, Mississippi Flash, a comedic tribute to Presley, exemplified his knack for blending humor with musicianship. Though whimsical, these songs reflected Jerry's deep roots in Southern culture and his ability to entertain with both skill and personality. One cannot discuss Jerry Reed without mentioning his innovative claw style of guitar playing. Named for the distinctive shape of his right hand, this technique became a defining trademark, challenging and inspiring guitarists for generations. It wasn't just about technical proficiency. The claw style added emotional rhythm and a unique groove that made his music instantly recognizable. This innovation was crucial in setting Jerry apart in a competitive industry. The quality of Jerry's work was acknowledged by the music establishment, earning him multiple Grammy Awards throughout his career. In 1971, he and Chet Atkins won a Grammy for their instrumental album Me and Jerry, a project that highlighted the pure musicianship of both artists and solidified Jerry's reputation as a versatile and accomplished guitarist. These awards were not just honors, but validations of his artistic evolution. Jerry's 1972 song, When You're Hot, You're Hot, earned him another Grammy and showcased his ability to craft catchy, enduring hits with broad appeal. It demonstrated that Jerry was not only a guitarist's favorite, but a gifted songwriter capable of reaching mainstream audiences. His music continued to bridge the gap between traditional country sounds and the emerging popular culture of the time. Even decades later, Jerry maintained relevance with achievements like the 1993 Grammy win for the guitar duet Sneakin' Around with Chet Atkins. His longevity in the industry was a testament to his adaptability, consistent quality, and creative spirit. Despite shifting musical trends, Jerry's work remained fresh and influential. Songs such as Lord, Mr. Ford, Eastbound and Down, and She Got the Gold Mine, I Got the Shaft have become staples of country music, celebrated for their wit and unique perspective. These tracks are part of what made Jerry Reed so beloved. They combined humor, storytelling, and top-tier musicianship in ways few others could match. Through them, Jerry's personality and experience came alive, endearing him to fans old and new. From this pinnacle of musical achievement, the story of his life would soon reveal a more complicated picture, one that balanced fame with very human struggles. Personal life and relationships. Behind the spotlight and applause, Jerry Reed's personal life was marked by stability and devotion, especially in his marriage to country singer Priscilla Mitchell. The two wed in 1959, just as Jerry's career was beginning to take off, establishing a partnership that would endure for more than 6 decades. Their marriage wasn't the flashy kind often associated with celebrities. Instead, it was grounded in mutual support and shared musical passion, providing a steady foundation amid the uncertainties of show business. Priscilla wasn't just a spouse, but an accomplished artist in her own right, with a #1 country record and notable collaborations before and during their marriage. Her ongoing success helped bolster Jerry's re-entry into the music scene after his military service, and the couple became a kind of power duo within Nashville's vibrant community. Their shared dedication to music created a professional and personal synergy that enriched both of their careers. Together, they raised 2 daughters, Sidina Ann Hubbard and Charlotte Elaine Zavala, born in 1960 and 1970 respectively. The musical legacy extended naturally to their children, both of whom pursued careers as country singers. Jerry wasn't just a distant figurehead in their artistic development. He was an active mentor and guide, helping his daughters navigate the often challenging music industry with the wisdom he'd gained from his own journey. Although their lives were mostly under the public spotlight, Jerry and Priscilla were still very successful in protecting and grounding their family life. The marriage that lasted for years went through many challenges, which were part of intense careers and the fame that comes with it. Their bond was one of deep respect and real love, a partnership that survived in the entertainment world for a long time, while the others had already collapsed. What delineated Jerry's character from many of his peers was a quite unscandalous and personal life. The typical image of heavy partying musicians didn't fit him at all, since he was mostly recognized for his professionalism and dedication. His family life was a rare source of stability and comfort that helped him to preserve his equilibrium as his reputation grew in the music industry. The family of Jerry was not only a haven, but also a continuous source of inspiration. The storytelling and the humorous songs he loved so much were often a reflection of the authenticity and the warmth that he found at home. His writings were witty and empathetic at the same time, and this was the reason they were able to present pictures of common people and daily life so vividly to a large audience. Regardless of the circumstances, Jerry's intimate ties to people depicted a character who preferred connection and loyalty to the superficialities of fame. The support from Priscilla and his family was a silent strength behind the scenes, which powered him through the ups and downs of the music industry. This complex and often painful fight with addiction adds a deeper, more human dimension to the story of Jerry Reed's life and legacy. Struggles with addiction and health. Despite his professional success and seemingly steady personal life, Jerry Reed battled a chronic addiction that few of his fans fully understood in his lifetime: a heavy and persistent cigarette smoking habit. Smoking was ingrained in the culture of the mid-20th century entertainment industry, and Jerry was no exception. Yet for him, what began perhaps as a casual indulgence eventually turned into a serious health crisis that would shadow his final years. Jerry's addiction was not linked to substances or alcohol, as is often the case with public figures facing health issues, but the damage was no less profound. Decades of smoking took a heavy toll on his lungs and overall well-being, gradually undermining the physical vitality that had once fueled his dynamic performances. His fans admired his energy on stage, unaware of the private battle he waged with an addiction that was slowly but steadily eroding his health. In the late 1990s, his addiction was well established, and despite multiple attempts to quit, Jerry struggled to break free from the grip of smoking. Close friends noted his desire to stop, even recording moments of his efforts, but the habit proved difficult to overcome. This internal conflict became poignantly visible in his 1972 single, "Another Puff," which he released as a public service message about the dangers of smoking. Ironically, a message he found hard to internalize himself fully. His longtime friendship with Tom Brash, son of Merle Travis, one of Jerry's great musical inspirations, also offered insights into the musician's challenges. Brash witnessed firsthand Jerry's struggles with quitting smoking and the impact it had on his health. It was a personal and painful struggle that contrasted sharply with Jerry's public image as a lively and humorous performer. Ultimately, it was complications from smoking-related lung disease that led to Jerry's passing on September 1, 2008, in Nashville. He was 71 years old. His death was met with mourning across the music community, highlighting the loss not only of a talented artist, but of a man who fought silently against a relentless addiction. In the aftermath of Jerry's death, his wife Priscilla suffered deeply from grief and depression, her own health declining until she passed away in 2014. The intertwined pain underscored the profound human cost behind the music and public achievements. The vulnerability hidden behind Jerry's public persona came into stark relief in these years. Today, the legacy of Jerry Reed is kept alive largely through the efforts of his daughters, who carry forward the family's musical tradition. Their careers and dedication repay the inspiration they received from their father, blending his influence with their own fresh voices. The family's continued presence in country music stands as a living memorial to Jerry's long-lasting impact. Jerry Reed's life and career tell a tale of triumph and tragedy, creativity and challenge, that continues to resonate with fans and musicians alike. Legacy and remembering Jerry Reed. Jerry Reed's influence on country music and guitar playing remains profound. His innovative claw style reshaped acoustic guitar technique, inspiring generations of musicians to explore new rhythmic approaches. Beyond virtuosity, Reed blended storytelling, humor, and Southern charm, helping bring country music to a wider audience while honoring its roots. Hits like Lord, Mr. Ford, Eastbound and Down, and She Got the Gold Mine, I Got the Shaft endure as cultural touchstones. With sharp wit and working-class insight, these songs gave listeners stories that felt both personal and universal, securing his place as one of country music's most relatable voices. Reed's partnerships with Chet Atkins and Elvis Presley, among others, were a great factor in cementing his legacy. The Grammy Awards for Jerry and When You're Hot, You're Hot were a reflection of the artist's popularity as well as true to the point of innovativeness. These accomplishments were the hallmark of a career characterized by creativity, technical skill, and above all, a fun spirit that was impossible to miss. Besides, his musical legacy was also continued by his daughters, who chose to be country music artists. Their careers are a representation of his impact and a tribute to his mentorship, thereby enabling him to reach out further than his own recordings. Reed was remembered by fans and other musicians as not only a great artist, but also a nice and approachable person. His music was like a playful and loving gift to the audience, a funky mixture of life's oddities and a cheeky smile telling you that he was in on the joke. This very characteristic of his personality that attracted many followers and led to his recognition as a cultural figure. Reed, who had a lung disease that led to his death in 2008, is still spoken of with admiration. His entire life and career mirrored the artist's dualities: fame and hardship, innovation and personal struggle. Over time, these layers have made his story so human and influential. More and more people rediscover his work, and besides that, he has not only left a guitar technique and songs that speak to people, but his artistic essence is also a lively part of the history of music. Jerry Reed's life shows that behind the shine of fame, real challenges often linger. His music and legacy continue to inspire, reminding us how creativity can transform hardship into lasting art. If this journey through his story resonated with you, feel free to like and subscribe for more explorations into the lives of music legends. And don't forget to watch the next video waiting for you on the screen. Thanks for being here.